Hello there fellow humans and welcome to this video, and today I'm going to tell you about 10 interesting innovative ways to increase your win rate in World of Tanks Blitz. Now, before we get into the list of 10, if you don't want to put up with the matchmaking, if you don't want to put up with the horrible teammates they have to do with, well, simply down there is a join button that you can join the channel, which I would appreciate a lot, and if you do that, you can join my streams and request tanks for me to torture myself with. Isn't that wonderful? Well, you know what is also wonderful? Getting better at this game, because nobody wants to be a noob. I wouldn't think that anyone wants to be a noob, but then again, how do you become a better player in World of Tanks Blitz? How do you increase your win rate, specifically in this video? Now, the first one is obviously, tip number 10, reroll. If you have a drag on your account or a time where you were a complete noob, like for example I was at 7,000 battles, I had 46.7% win rate, which isn't gonna just go away, then simply make a new account and you sort of decoy increase your win rate. Obviously, which isn't the best of ideas, but it can certainly help you in feeling better about yourself, and it can also revitalize your effort in the game. Obviously, it is hard to grind up new lines and stuff like that, but in the end, it might be worth it. But since this is number 10, it's not really that good, and we have to move on when we get to better tips at the end, so stay tuned. Now, what you can also do is, besides simply re-rolling and throwing all your money out of the way, you can simply seal club, which is tip number 9. To increase your win rate, you simply go down a few tiers. If you go to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, most of the players are very inexperienced, and you can profit off that a lot. If you're a very good player, then you can get insane amounts of win rate down there, as you can see, 72, 77, all that kind of stuff, which could be even higher. So simply seal club. But the downside to seal clubbing is obviously, while increasing your win rate, you decrease your average damage, because obviously at lower tiers you do less damage because there's less hit points. Makes sense, right? So yeah, there's that. Then, number 8. Play in a platoon. If you play in a platoon with a good player, which here is a feature, like if you play with this person, for example, then you will get better at the game, because if you have sort of a mentor figure in the game, which I had, by the way, I was a complete noob, and I played with someone, I don't quite remember his name, but I played with him a lot, and I just got better by simply playing with a person that was better than me, and that did help a lot, and that can also help you increase your win rate, because when you play with someone in the platoon that is a very good player, then they are going to sort of carry you up a notch, and once you learn enough from them, you can sort of carry that on by yourself as well. So that is a very good tip. Get yourself a sort of mentoring figure, play in platoons, and that's going to be really, really good for your game. However, if you don't want to do that, if you want to be a little bit more on the shady side of things, you can simply select yourself a good player, for example, like this guy right here, and you can write him a message, and you can offer him money to play on your account. Because if he plays on my account, for example, I'm gonna look like I'm a better player, and my win rate is gonna go up. Obviously. So, that is tip number 7. Pay an OP player to play for you. And that guy also has a YouTube channel, I think. Now, obviously, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to spend your money that much, if you have been lucky with boxes, what you can do, that is tip number 6, that is, you can play the Smasher. You can play the Smasher until the day you fucking die. That's the point. Because the Smasher basically is inevitable. You can one-shot a tier 7 light tank with it. You can shave off half the health of a tier 8 tank with one shot. The impact you can do with this vehicle is so significant that your win rate is going to skyrocket. Because that's what you want to do to increase the win rate. You want to increase your impact in the game. Because the more you do, the more damage you cause, the more assistance damage you do, the more tracking you do, the more spotting you do, the better your win rate is going to be, because if you set up your team well, even if they're complete stupid nut jobs, they're going to have the better chance of winning against the other stupid nut jobs than if you don't set them up properly and if you just let them out and die in the rain. So that is very, very important right here. And now on this map, I'm in the Smasher. I'm here on this mid-ridge, which is not the best of places for this vehicle, because obviously you don't have gun depression, which is one of the very, very few downsides of this tank. And I don't really want to fight that T-34 back there. That is basically what you want to do. In the Smasher, pick your fights carefully, so that whenever you pick a fight, you will win it. As you can see right there, I'm gonna try to shoot the enemy Smasher. Oh, okay, there you go. Now, I've gathered intel here for my team. I'm gonna tell my team, there's 2 there. 2 camping in the back. What do I know? One of them caused 400 damage. I couldn't see the other one. They have 2 tank destroyers on the enemy team with 400 damage each. So I would assume that both of them are camping back there. And that is something that I can tell my team and that I can give them on the way. And that is very, very good, because it's going to increase my team's performance. And it's going to increase my win rate, obviously. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to keep this T-34 busy. He's a tier 8, he has insane amounts of penetration, he has great gun depression, and he can deal with these people at ease. For example, like with someone like that Lycan back there, who isn't necessarily a good player, who doesn't really understand the concept of the game. I don't necessarily want him to die, because if that would happen, he wouldn't be useful anymore. A dead teammate is not useful. And a live teammate, no matter how shit they are more useful than a dead teammate. Because if you do keep them alive, they can serve as meat shields for you. You can hide behind them, you can use them as bait, or you can even make them shoot people, or you can make enemies move towards them so that they, even though they're camping and they're stupid, they might have a chance at shooting them. So that's one thing that you want to do there. Just try to utilize your team as well as you can in the Smasher. Obviously. Also, another thing they have to do in the Smasher is just nuke people. You absolutely nuke people. Because what you can do with this vehicle is you're basically a tier 8 tank at tier 7. Which gives you an amazing advantage. Because, for example, if you look at this match, there is 4 tier 7s and 3 tier 8s. But no, there is actually 4 tier 8s and 3 tier 7s on both sides, because they have a Smasher as well, but the enemy Smasher is dead. So basically, if you play the Smasher, you're already increasing your chances right off the beginning to win more, because you're giving your team the advantage of having a tank of basically a higher tier. So that is why the Smasher is very, very good. Now, as you can see right here, I've played around the ridgeline the entire time. I've been useful somewhat to the team. I also made the Lycan be somewhat effective. And now I'm going to play out the biggest strength of this vehicle, and that is that. 1009 damage into the back of the T-20 Defender, and he is dead. That is a tier 8 tank destroyer right there, pretty much blown up with one shot. And that's how you do it in the Smasher. So if you want to win more, play the Smasher. Also, if you want to win more, that is tip number 5, which is also very, very important, is you please do not listen to people that tell you the Leopard is a tank destroyer. Do not listen to these people. They got no clue. Okay? You look at the tanks, you form your own opinion. For example, the Smasher, it's all about dealing damage. For example, the Dracula, it's about the mobility, it's about being mobile, it's about being useful in the game. So if you want to win more, then simply be aware of what the tanks are playing. And don't listen to people that tell you that tanks are something that they're not. And that is a very good tip right there. Also, another very good tip is if you do have a lot of free XP lying around, like I do, for example, and if you are, let's say, if you're planning on grinding the T125, which is, in my opinion, the best line to begin the game with, because it's very easy to play. It makes sense. Every tank sort of plays the same way, just better at every tier. And all the tanks of the line are pretty good. It's not like, for example, like E4 line, where the prototype is just hopelessly garbage. For example, the A5 line is pretty good. Now, if I go here at, for example, at the T32, and also what you have here is you have the T29 has the same gun, T5, E1, as the T32, so you don't even need to research a gun here, which is great. But here is tip number 4. Once you get to the M103, you're gonna have this gun, and if you have some free XP, just research the gun. Just research this gun. If you want to increase your win rate while still grinding tanks, use your XP wisely. Use it to upgrade your tanks, to give them better modules, because if you have a better module, you have a better tank. If you have a better tank, you can fight better. And if you fight better, you win more. So, tip number 4, use your XP to upgrade stock tanks. Don't waste it to complete a vehicle, just simply use it to upgrade stock tanks so you don't have to go through that pain. Then, number 3, turn off supremacy. Because obviously this also comes as a side note to my absolute hatred of the mode. But that aside, supremacy is not very good if you're trying to win more, if you're trying to be a more aware player. Because the quite simple thing about supremacy is, it adds another unnecessary factor to the game that you have to worry about. And for example, if you're a heavy tank player, if you like the mouse, and you play supremacy, you are going to lose a lot. Because if the enemy team have a leopard left, he's just gonna run, he's just gonna win on caps, and you're fucked. So, turn off supremacy, take away that additional losing factor that you can have. Obviously, it can also be a winning factor, but more often, it is gonna also take away damage, because if you hit 1,000 points before the enemy team is dead, it's gonna lose you your average damage, it's gonna lose you all the other statistics as well. And if you don't only care about your win rate, then don't play supremacy. Simply don't play supremacy. Then, number 2. Number 2, this is the very most important one. This is the most important one of the entire list, basically. And that is, you take a goat. You may preferably buy it. You take the goat and you create an altar in your backyard. And then you sacrifice that goat to RNGesus. Because if you do that, then RNGesus is going to come down onto your account, and your account is going to magically gain a token of better win rate. And that is going to be used to always put you in the matches with local players, Legion players, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to have better matches, and you're going to have better win rate. So that is tip number 2, which is very, very important in the game. And then number 1 is obviously get good. And with that horrible disappointment, thank you very much for watching. That's been it. Hope you liked it. It's been fun. Also, don't forget to not care about your stats enough. If you are a decent player, you don't need to care about your stats. And you shouldn't care about your stats, because they're fucking stats. Nobody cares about the numbers. But what if we can get a number 2? Let's get 5 likes. How about that one? Goodbye.